Welcome back. Here is our next question from CA Final ICI booklet on case scenarios and MCQ questions from of paper 6. Sorry, paper 3. Question number 66. RCE Limited was set up under the Companies Act 2013 and got itself registered as non-banking financial company with the Reserve Bank of India, fulfilling the required criteria. During the financial year ended on 31st of March 2020, the company's operations have started. The company's total assets were rupees 298 crore, out of which trade receivables, loan receivable in cash and bank balances comprises of rupees 199. So, out of 298, 199 crore rupees is relating to trade receivables, loans receivable in cash and bank balances. During the financial year ended on 31st of March 2020, the company's operations generated total income of rupees 99.5 crores. The management also did an assessment and observed that income from its financial assets was not much during the year and amounted to only 60 crore rupees. The management is looking at various alternatives to improve its operations, if required, to generate better income in the coming years. Further, the management has a plan to significantly increase these deposits in the next 2 years, as it would help in the overall functioning of the company. In the context of the above, please answer which of the following options would be correct. Yes, we'll go through each and every option and we'll identify the correct answer. Option A, the company does not meet the criteria of financial assets and hence would not be considered as NBFC. Further, it cannot accept and give demand deposits, and the same thing should be reported by the statutory auditors of the company. So, option A says it is not meeting the criteria of financial assets and hence it should not be considered as NBFC, and therefore it cannot accept and give demand deposits. We'll go through the question where it has been given that it is an NBFC. We'll see. See, RCE Limited was set up under Companies Act and got itself as an registered under NBFC with the Reserve Bank of India. See, here the question is speaking about the criteria of financial assets and the company being qualifying as an NBFC. Come, let's go through the definition of financial assets and when can a company be an NBFC. We'll go through our study material. Check, here is our study material on this audit of when a company's financial assets constitute more than 50% of the total assets and income from financial assets constitute more than 50% of the gross income. A company which fulfills both these criteria shall qualify as an NBFC and would require to be registered as an NBFC by RBI. So here there are two conditions, that the financial assets should constitute more than 50% and the income from such financial institution should be more than 50%. So we'll check out whether these two conditions has been satisfied by this company or not. We'll go back to the question. See, here is our question wherein it has been given that RCE Limited is having a total assets of 298 crores, out of which the total of trade receivables, loan receivable in cash and bank balances comprises of 199 crores. So we'll use our calculator and we'll see. So 199 out of 298 crores into 100. So it is getting to 66.77%. So it is more than 50%. So the definition of financial assets has been satisfied by this particular company. And now we'll go with our income from financial assets. See, the company has received total income from operations is 99.5 crores. Also, the company has received, observed that the income from its financial assets was not much during the year and amounted to only 60 crore rupees. So total income is 99.5 crore out of which the company has 99.5. Is that right? Yes, it is 60 crore upon 99.5 crore into 100. So even this is getting more than 50%, and hence this company satisfies the definition of NBFC. So we can say that it is satisfying both the financial asset criteria and the income from financial asset criteria. So it is satisfying, it can be treated as an NBFC. Now we'll go through our options and now we'll finalize the answer. See, the first option says the company doesn't meet the criteria of financial assets. Is that so? No, it is satisfying. And the financial asset criteria, this company is having 66%. And hence option A is wrong. We'll go through option B. The company doesn't meet the criteria of income and hence would not be considered as NBFC. Is that so? No. This company is having 60% of total income from financial assets out of its total income. So even option B is wrong. We'll go through option C. The company meets the criteria of financial assets and income. An NBFC can only accept demand deposits, but cannot give demand deposits. Hence, in this case, the statutory auditor should report regarding this same. See, this giving and accepting deposits. Even this point I will make you clear from study material itself. Just give me a second. NBFC cannot accept demand deposits. This is the basic difference between a bank and an NBFC. So, this option which is saying that option C says that it can only accept demand deposits. No, but what we know as per the rules, NBFC cannot accept demand deposits, and hence option C is also wrong. We'll go through option D now. The company meets the criteria of financial assets and income. Yes, this is fine. An NBFC can only give demand deposits, but it cannot accept demand deposits. Yes, that is what we know. An NBFC cannot accept demand deposit because this is the basic difference between a bank and an NBFC. Hope you guys are clear with this point. And hence, in this case, the statutory auditor should report regarding this matter. So this is what the statutory auditor has to report in his report. Sorry, report the say in audit report. Now we'll go through question number 67. Sitter Limited is a company in which 59% of the paid up share capital is held by Punjab government. The company is engaged in the business of providing consultancy services in relation to construction projects. The Punjab government is also planning to induct funds in the company in future if required. Naukri Limited is a company controlled by Sitter Limited. The business of Naukri Limited is construction and has an annual turnover of 2,500 crores approximately. The audit of financial statements of Naukri Limited for the financial year ended on 31st of March 2020 got completed, but Naukri Limited observed CAG was giving directions to the auditor on the manner in which audit should be conducted in respect of certain areas. Further, it also received comments from CAG on the audit report of the auditor. Naukri Limited is seeking legal opinion to go against CAG so that they can avoid unnecessary interference of CAG, and is also looking to have new auditors appointed by Naukri Limited with whom they will have an engagement letter with the terms that those auditors do not accept any interference of CAG which the existing auditors have not been able to avoid. In this context, please advise which of the following should be correct. Here you can straight away say that the contention of Naukri Limited is wrong. We'll go through the options and we'll finalize the one. Option A, the stand of the existing auditors should have been better. That is, not to accept any interference of CAG. No, this is This is, we can straightforward, you can say that this is wrong. And option B says management could have planned the audit work better by including some same terms in engagement letter with existing auditors instead of appointing another auditors. No, here you can straight away say that the stand of Naukri Limited is wrong, because it cannot avoid the interference of CAG with the. So we'll go through option C. CAG involvement would have been accepted if this was an audit of Citadel Limited, but not in case of Naukri Limited. And hence, Naukri Limited should also reach out to its parent company to get it resolved. No, the parent company cannot resolve this issue. And instead, the parent company will say the interference of CAG is correct. So we'll go through the next option, option D. The stand of Naukri Limited is wrong as the CAG may get involved in the audit of Naukri Limited. Yes, this is what the correct option. Option D is our right answer. We'll go through the next question, question number 68. CGN Limited is a large company engaged in the business of oil exploration in India. The Tamil Nadu government and the central government hold 37% and 20% respectively of the paid up share capital of this company. See, I just want you to be clear that this company, in the earlier question, that this is a company controlled by state government. Since this is a government company, CAG is getting involved. Any subsidiary of a government company shall be deemed to be a government company. Hope you are clear with this. Now we'll continue. The Tamil Nadu government and the state government, central government holds 37% and 20% respectively of the paid up share capital of the company. The CAG appointed the statutory auditors of this company as per the requirements of the Companies Act 2013. The company had a concern regarding this appointment because the company wanted to appoint another auditors as per their assessment. However, considering the legal hassles which would have got involved, the company decided to go ahead with this. Subsequent to this, CAG also issued an order to conduct a test audit of the accounts of the company, which was objected by the management of the company. The management objected, saying that the complete set of financial statements have been audited by auditors appointed by CAG, and hence this order is not acceptable because this would lead to duplication of work. Moreover, the management has also returned to CAG that for the next year, the existing auditors should either resign so that the management may bring in their the existing auditors should either resign so that the management may bring in their own auditors, or the CAG should have a faith in the work of auditors appointed by them. Please suggest how to resolve this matter. See, here the management is saying CAG is wrong because it is ordering to conduct test audit. And now what management is saying, if you have faith in your auditors, don't conduct this test audit, or else ask your auditors to resign, we'll appoint our own auditors. So this is what the management contention is. But is the management contention right? No. The contention of the management is not correct. And CAG has a right. It may order test audit in case of government companies as per the requirements of Companies Act. We'll go through the options. Option A, the management stand is not correct. The CAG may order test audit as per the requirements of Companies Act 2013. Yes, this is our correct option. Correct answer. We'll go through the other options. Option B, the management stand is not correct. The CAG may order test audit as per the requirements of Indian Penal Code. I don't know from where this Indian Penal Code came into picture. Okay, as far as we'll go through option C, the management is correct. Is the management correct? No. So we can straight away ignore this option C. We can straight away say that option C is wrong because the management contention is not correct. We'll go through option D. Such type of matter should be taken to arbitration as per the requirements of Arbitration Act. So this Indian Penal Code and Arbitration Act have no link with this test audit. That's all. We'll go to question number 69. NOP Limited is a joint venture of central government and a private company and is engaged in the business of distribution of electricity in Chennai. The central government holds 51% shares of the company. The company is acknowledged for its consumer-friendly practices. Initially, it was completely owned by government and was running into significant losses. But after the joint venture, the aggregate technical and commercial losses of the company showed a record decline. The operations of the company have improved significantly as claimed by the management of the company. The CAG wants to conduct the performance audit of one of the departments of the company through a subordinate office of Indian Audit and Accounts Department. For this purpose, the audit program has also been finalized, and the Accountant General has intimated the company that the audit would start within a day's time. The company is concerned because the program which have been received from the Accountant General is quite detailed and would involve significant time. Further, the management of the company is quite surprised as to why this audit should be conducted, as this is not a company subject to such type of. So, what kind of a view that you can give? The contention that management is saying is wrong, and CAG have the right to conduct these performance audits and test audits if it feels so. So it is at the discretion of CAG. CAG may conduct. We can say that CAG may conduct. We'll go through the options. Option A, the notice for such type of audit should give reasonable time to the management to prepare themselves. Further, it should not be a detailed audit requiring significant time of the company. Who are you to decide whether it should be a detailed audit or not? So it is CAG who need to decide in what manner the audit has to be conducted. So option A is straight away wrong. We'll go through option B. The CAG may conduct such type of audits in respect of NOP Limited, which would get covered in this criteria. However, the notice for conducting such type of audit should give reasonable time to the management to prepare themselves. Yes, you should give reasonable time for the management to prepare themselves, and hence this option seems to be correct. But we'll go through other options and we'll finalize this. Option C. In case of a joint venture, such type of audit cannot be performed as per the Companies Act 2013. The company should write to the Register of Companies in respect of this matter, and till that time no audit can be started. No, because you are applying to the ROC and ROC will stop. No, this is not the right way, and this is also this company falls as an government company only because the state government is holding 51% of the share capital. So this option is wrong. We'll go through the next option. Option D. In case of a joint venture, this is applicable. This is only a small period of time. The company should write to the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in this matter, in respect of this matter. No, the Ministry of MCA cannot also help you, because and you cannot even restrict the period of audit which is going to be conducted. It is CAG who need to conduct the audit. So it is CAG who need to conduct the audit. It is not the MCA who can help you. So option B is the correct option. We'll go through the next question. Question number 70. AJ Petroleum and Refining Limited is a Maharatna central public sector undertaking in India, having its registered office in Uttaranchal. It is engaged in the business of oil refining, pipeline transportation and marketing, exploration and production of crude oil and gas, petroleum chemicals, gas marketing and other downstream operations. The PSU has global aspirations for which its management is working on various plans or programs so that the same can be achieved in future. It is also planning to pursue diverse business interests by setting up of various joint ventures with reputed business partners from India and abroad to explore global opportunities. Considering these objectives and other factors, the CAG directed the performance audit in respect of its certain activities or functions which have been in process. Before starting the audit, the detailed scope and the composition of audit team was shared with the management of the company and changed its audit program to achieve the desired objectives which were approved by the competent authority. However, the management was not happy with those changes. The management wants the audit team to conclude the audit with the same scope, as this is a special type of audit wherein such flexibility cannot be accepted, as that would defeat the purpose of law. However, the audit team has a different view. Please guide. Here you can say that the contention of management is wrong, because whenever you are conducting an audit, there can be a situation that you need to change your already predefined audit plan. So depending upon the circumstances, you will change. And see, here the question also stated that the changes in the audit program has been approved by the competent authority. So you management cannot decline such changes. Now we'll go through the options. Changes in audit program in such type of audits is not acceptable as specified by the company's audit and auditors rules. No, there is no such rule in company's audit and auditors rules. We'll go through the next option. Option B, changes in audit program in such type of audits are not acceptable. See here, it has just repeated option A by adding and the Ministry of Law. There are no such rules which can say that no changes can be made to the audit program. We'll go through option C. Changes in audit program in such type of audits can be accepted provided these were discussed with the management and approved by the competent authority. Yes, this has been already given in the question, and hence this is, you can blindly tick this option C, because the same point has already been given in the question. There is nothing to think with your brain. CAG should get involved in this matter after taking permission from the central government and would require to change the audit team if the scope requires any changes, as the same should have been properly assessed by the audit team before commencing the audit. No, even before commencing the audit, you cannot estimate the circumstances that are going to arise. Hope you are clear with this point. We'll move on to the next question, question number 71. In case of PSU, direct reporting engagement does not include financial audits. So in case of PSU, it is a straightforward answer. If you have gone through your study material, you might have answered this question. See, this is a pure straightforward question from your study material. In case of PSU, direct reporting engagement does not include financial audits. Even if you have not gone through your study material, just remember this point. Okay. We'll go through next question, question number 72. The audit committee should consist of the following. What it should consist? Audit committee has to be formed by a company wherein it should have a minimum 3 independent directors forming the majority. Minimum is 3, but it should form the total number of independent directors in the audit committee has to be a majority. So option A, minimum of 3 directors with independent directors forming a majority. So minimum 3 directors has to be there, and independent directors should form the majority. Suppose in case the audit committee is consisting of only 3 members, then at least 2 members has to be independent directors. Hope you are clear with this. Even this is a question that you can answer even without going through your study material, because this has already been discussed in company law also in paper 4. We'll go through the next question. The board of directors of ABC Limited does not comprise of any woman director. The statutory auditor who is certifying corporate governance as per SEBI regulations has to ascertain that the board of directors should consist at least one independent woman directors. Even this is a straightforward question that was given from the Companies Act. So our correct option would be option B. The board of directors will have at least one independent woman director. This was the correct option. Option C is option B is the correct option. We'll go through the next question. Hope you are catching my point. These are all the questions that were directly asked from the company law. Even you can say that it is a company audit also. So these particular questions or the concepts are discussed both in paper 3 and paper 4. Okay, we'll go through our next question, question number 74. The auditor should ensure that the board of directors of the top 100 listed companies shall comprise of. What it should comprise? At least 6, not less than 6 directors. Hope you are clear with this. The auditor should ensure that the board of directors of top 100 listed entities. You forget about this 100 listed entities. It is a listed company and the board of directors should not be less than 6. Hope you are clear. Option C is our correct option. We'll go through the next question. Question number 75. The board of directors of XYZ Limited, one of the top 2000 listed entities, meets 4 times a year. So it is saying you forget about these top 2000, all these things. Number of board meetings are 4 in a year. The total strength or 3 directors, whichever is higher, including 1 independent director. Option A is the correct option. 1/3 of its total strength or 3 directors, whichever is higher, including at least 1 independent directors. Suppose if my board of directors consists of 10 directors, out of which 1 is a woman director. This is an example. You can say or else you can say at least suppose the independent directors are 6 members. So out of 10, 6 are independent directors. Now here the question will be 1/3 of total directors. 1/3 of 10 is coming to 3.3333. So it is 4. So at least 4 members or 3. 4 or 3, whichever is higher. So 4 is the correct option. So higher one is the 4. Out of these 4, at least 1 has to be independent director. Hope you are clear with this. Even this is a straightforward question which was given from our this company law. We'll go through the next question. Hope we have exceeded. Let's check out the time. This is already 27 minutes. That's all. We'll end up the video here because it is getting lengthier. So that's all for this video. We have completed 10 MCQ questions. And please do remember that 13th April, today is the last date for your examinations, applications which need to be submitted to ICAI. Hope you have already submitted all your applications. That's all for today. If you find these videos useful, please do like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon to get the latest updates. That's all for today. Bye bye. Thank you for watching.